Greetings of the hour. I'm Jolly Monsi. Today's topic is phrases and clauses for classes 9 to 12. Though these two topics go hand in hand, but I would deal with it in parts because firstly, due to its vast content, and secondly, for the ease of comprehension. At the onset, I would discuss or focus on phrases because this is your stepping block to the complex topics of clauses and its types. Fine? So, by the end of the lesson, you would be able to understand what phrases and clauses are, find the difference between the phrases and clauses, and identify the different types of phrases. So, let's get going. As you know, a sentence is made up of subject and predicate. You know that the standard structure of a sentence is SVO, that is subject, verb, object. Now within a sentence we have group of words which perform a specific task and so are termed as the parts of speech. These group of words put together make a part of a sentence to give some meaning or a complete sentence. So let us learn more about these group of words and understand what is a phrase and what is a clause in a given sentence. Now you can see the table of comparison between a phrase and a clause in front of you. Let's understand it better. First, let's focus on the phrases. Phrase states that it is a group of words. It has no subject-verb combination, may not contain a subject or a verb or both. Now it says that it is a group of words, but these group of words would not have a subject or a verb in it. Okay, it would be some group of words. Now you know that a structure of a sentence requires a subject, verb and object to make it a complete sentence. So it doesn't have a subject and the verb combination, and therefore it doesn't give complete idea if used alone. So it means that group of words which doesn't have a subject, what are we talking about, and it doesn't have a verb, what action has been done in there, what happened in that sentence. If these two pieces of information is missing in a sentence, then we do not get a complete sense. So, group of words that do not have a subject and verb combination, so doesn't give a complete idea if used alone, is termed as a phrase, right? So a phrase can be found at the beginning, middle or end of a sentence. Now this group of words can be found in the beginning of a sentence, in the middle or at the end of the sentence, right? So let's look at the examples of phrases. The melodious song. Now when you hear these group of words, the melodious song, you get some idea because you know the meaning of song, you know what melodious means, so you get some idea, but still it is incomplete in itself because we don't know what are we talking about. If you are saying song, what do you want to say about the song, right? So it doesn't give a complete sense. Similarly, to play football. Now there is some meaning to it, but still because it doesn't have a verb or the subject, we don't get a clear idea. Remember, to play is not a verb. Okay, it is an infinitive, to plus verb, right? It doesn't do the work of a verb. And what does the phrase state? That it is a group of words which does not have a verb in it. Fine. So again, we term these group of words as phrase. Okay, at the table. Now, usually this part is the object because it has got a preposition in front. So, we know that we are talking about something at the table. But what is it is still unknown because there is no subject over there. There is no verb in it. So, these kind of words when put together has some sense but does not give a complete sense. We term it as a phrase. Now, look at the sentence below that. Mom is baking cake for the guests. Now, if you read this, you get a very, very clear, complete answer to the question, what is happening? Mom is baking cake. What is mom doing? Mom is baking cake. You can see the clear structure of a sentence there, the subject, the verb, and the object. So you learn that a sentence, to have a complete meaning, should have a subject, verb, object, right? But if you see the last part of the sentence, for the guests. Now you get some idea. We are talking about some guests, right? For the guests. But what are we talking about then? That is incomplete. Okay. So these three words, that is this group of words, is termed as a phrase. Why? First and foremost, because it does not have the subject or the verb in it. And secondly, it cannot stand on its own to give you some complete meaning to it, right? It has to be joined with the other part of the sentence to get the complete meaning. Okay. Now, mom is baking cake can stand on its own. It doesn't require any more. But to give a little more information about that action, we add these group of words to it. It enhances the meaning of the sentence. Now, if we take the complete sentence, mom is baking cake for the guests. So we get more information about the action, that she is baking cake for whom? For the guests. So how important a phrase becomes in a sentence is how well it defines or how well it enhances the meaning of a sentence. So this is the way we get a sentence with a combination of a complete sentence with subject, verb, object, and also we have the group of words to enhance the meaning in the sentence. Okay, so that is termed as a phrase. Now let's move on to the clause. Okay, now the first sentence says that it is a group of words similar to what we had in the phrase, right? But these group of words are totally different in their structure. Why? Because it has a subject-verb combination. Can you see how contrary it is to what we have in phrase? In phrase, we have no subject-verb combination, whereas in a clause, we have a subject-verb combination. Now, since we have a subject-verb combination, it gives you a complete idea by itself, isn't it? You have a subject, like whom are you talking about, and what is that subject doing in the form of a verb, right? So, when you know whom are you talking about and what the subject is doing, you get an idea in itself, isn't it? So, group of words that has a subject-verb combination, that is very important and key difference between the two, that is the phrase and the clause, that a group of words that has a subject-verb combination gives a complete idea by itself is termed as a clause. Okay. Now, it won't be wrong if I say that a clause is a sentence in itself. Why I say so? Because a sentence has a subject, verb, and object. Sometimes you omit the object. And what happens in a clause? Clause also has the subject and the verb, right? So it won't be wrong to say that a clause is a sentence in itself. It can stand on its own, right? If you see the example that we did before, mom is baking cake. Mom is baking cake. It can stand on its own. It doesn't require any more information over there, okay? But there are some kinds of sentences where we have some group of words which add more meaning to the sentence. Okay, so a clause can stand on its own or depend on the other part of the sentence for its completeness. Just as the phrase added more completeness to the sentence, similarly, there are sentences where a clause is dependent on the other part of the sentence to get its completeness. We shall learn more about it when we discuss clauses. Okay. Now let's see the example of clause. He sat down. He is the subject. Sat is the verb. Down is just a word that is can be termed as an adverb telling you where he sat. Okay. So one word cannot be termed as a phrase. Understand that. Okay. So he sat down is a complete sentence in itself because it has got a subject verb combination and it gives you the complete meaning. She was singing. Again, a subject-verb combination. So this is something which you should keep in mind when you are focusing on identifying the phrases and clauses. What? Phrases? No subject-verb combination. So you just have to look for the verb first in the group of words. If it has got a verb, you should be sure that it is not a phrase but a clause. Now see the third one. He went to the playground. Now he went in itself is complete because it's got a subject and a verb. Okay, it is telling you about subject, he, and what did he do? He went. Now, to the playground is the group of words which does not have any verb in itself to tell you some other action being done, but it is enhancing the meaning of the sentence, he went. Okay, so he went to the playground is a complete sentence, but if you have to find the phrase from this, to the playground would be the phrase. So you can see that a sentence can be the combination of clause and phrase. Okay. The girl with the book in her hands is blind. Now this is a long sentence. Let's see. The girl is the subject. Now let's look for the verb to understand whether it's a clause or not. With the books in her hand, we see that it is a group of words which does not have a verb in it. There is a verb though, is blind. Is the verb there. So now what do? With the book in her hand, we can term it as a phrase which is telling you more about the girl. The girl with the book in her hand is blind. So if we combine the girl is blind is a complete sentence in itself. Therefore, here the girl is blind is a clause with a subject verb in it, and with the book in her hand becomes the phrase. Okay. Now this is how you have to identify the phrase and a clause in a given sentence. Let us learn about the different types of phrases used. Now these group of words are used in a sentence to perform specific tasks. Depending on the function it performs, we classify them as different phrases. That is noun phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, and so on. Let's learn about three important phrases used. That is noun phrase, adjective phrase, and adverb phrase. Let's learn about the noun phrase. What is a noun phrase? A noun phrase consists of a noun or pronoun which is called the head. That is, the noun or the pronoun would be termed as the head along with the dependent words used for that particular noun. So if I put it in this way, a noun phrase consists of a noun or pronoun which is called the head and any dependent words before or after the head. Head is the noun. Dependent words give specific information about the head. Again, head is the noun. So we would have a noun and we would have some dependent words before or after that noun. Okay. Now these words give specific information about that noun. Okay. Now, how do you identify? Because if we hear that, we sometimes feel that adjectives also give more information about the noun, right? So how do we know or how do we identify that it is a noun phrase? It is very easy and simple, children. What we need to do is we should ask the question what to the verb used in that sentence. I'll repeat that. We ask the question what to the verb used in that sentence. Noun phrase can be the subject, that is in front, or the object of the verb. So what do we learn here? That noun phrase can be the subject of the verb or the object of the verb. That means the group of words before the verb telling us more about the noun, or the group of words soon after the verb telling us more about the noun is termed as the noun phrase. Take this example. That magnificent huge palace was built by King Ashoka. Okay, now what is the noun here? Palace. Okay, now you can see before the noun, which is the head, we have a group of words. That, magnificent, huge. Okay, now that magnificent, huge is giving some specific information about the noun palace. Okay, and you can see the verb used there, was. Okay, now what did we learn before? We learned that the noun phrase can be the subject of the verb. So was is the verb. So the subject of the verb is palace, and the dependent words, that is telling us or giving some more specific information about the noun, becomes your noun phrase. Okay, so what is the question that we need to ask to the verb? Was is that what? What was built by King Ashoka? The answer that you would get is that magnificent huge palace. See how easy it becomes there? First and foremost, you should identify the verb, and you should see the noun or the group of words on which the noun is dependent. Is it telling you more about the noun? Okay, now was is the verb here. So when we look at the noun used before that and ask the question, what was built by King Ashoka? We ask the question to the verb was. What was built by King Ashoka? That magnificent huge palace. So that magnificent huge palace would be termed as a noun phrase. Okay, don't forget this. It becomes very easy. And you can also identify it by seeing that the noun phrase would either be the subject of the verb or the object of the verb. Okay, now we can see the noun phrase in different structures. Okay, now what is the structure of the noun phrase? It can be a determiner plus noun. For example, the girl. The is the determiner and girl is the noun. So if we have the girl, we can term it as a noun phrase. No? Secondly, it can be modifiers plus noun. Charming girl. Now don't just go by this charming is an adjective, but we need to understand how it has been used or what function it is performing in that particular sentence. Okay, so here if we have a modifier and the noun combination, that is the noun phrase. We also have another structure, that is determiners with modifiers and noun, that is the charming girl. Now this whole group becomes your noun phrase. Okay, so this is how we understand it, children. You don't have to be really worried about the noun phrase, because you just understand this. What does a noun do? Noun identifies the name of person, place, animal, or thing, right? Similarly, noun phrases also tell us about the nouns that are used or the subject that is being used there. Now take a look at the following sentences. I enjoyed paragliding. Now paragliding is a term, is a name, so it's a noun. And you can see that it is coming just after the verb. And we have learned before that the noun can come before or after the verb, right? Depending on its function. Now here we also have that criteria of asking the question to the verb used in the sentence, what? So I enjoyed. Enjoyed is the verb, and so I asked the question, what did I enjoy? I enjoyed paragliding. So paragliding becomes the noun in the sentence, and it can work as the object of the sentence too. Right? Now let's see the second one. It would help you understand the function of noun phrase, which I told you before that it works exactly as a noun. Okay, so here we see I enjoyed the experience of paragliding. Now we have used a group of words there, but it is functioning exactly as a noun does. Okay, there we have used one word, paragliding. Here we have used the group of words, the experience of paragliding, but the meaning remains the same. The function remains the same. I enjoyed what? What did I enjoy? The experience of paragliding. You can see here, the is the determiner, experience of is the modifier, and paragliding is the noun. This was the structure you studied before, isn't it? So just by adding few words to enhance or give specific information about the noun, we make it into a noun phrase. See the second example. My teacher hates dishonesty. Now dishonesty we have taken as a noun there. Why? Because it gives the answer to the question what. What my teacher hates? My teacher hates dishonesty. Right? One word, so it is doing or functioning as the noun. Naming. What does the teacher hate? The teacher hates dishonesty. Okay. Similarly, if you see the second sentence, my teacher hates dishonest people. Now, dishonest people and dishonesty is similar. Okay, dishonesty is shown by the people, right? So if we use it in the phrase form, that is a group of words that means the same. My teacher hates what? Dishonest people. Okay, so dishonest people, again we see the structure of the noun. There should be a head, that is the noun. Before that comes the modifier. Okay, so modifier plus noun is your noun phrase. My teacher hates dishonest people. I enjoyed the experience of paragliding. So these two examples would help you understand how we identify the noun phrase from the given sentence. Just keep in mind two things, that we need to ask the question what to the verb used in the sentence. Okay. Secondly, you should remember that the noun phrase comes before the verb or just after the verb that it is qualifying. Okay. And thirdly, you should understand the structure of the noun phrase. It can be determiner plus noun, modifier plus noun, or determiner plus modifier plus noun. So together that group of words including the noun would become your noun phrase. To the second important phrase, that is the adjective phrase or the adjectival phrase as it is known as. Now, what is an adjective phrase? An adjective phrase is a group of words that does the work of an adjective in a sentence. What does the adjective do in a sentence? It describes the noun. Exactly, an adjective phrase too describes the noun. It is a group of words that qualifies or modifies a noun in a sentence. Okay. See the example. Sam is reading a geography book. Now, understand this, that just as we had for the noun clause a question that could give the answer, similarly, we have the question for the adjective phrase. And what is that question? The question is what kind of or which. Now, this question you need to ask to the verb, right? Just as you used to ask what to the verb to find out the noun phrase, similarly, to find out or identify the adjective phrase, which is the question that you should ask to the verb, you should ask either what kind of or which to the verb. Okay, now let's see this. Sam is reading a geography book. Which book? Geography book. So here, geography becomes the adjective to the word book, which is the noun. It is describing the book. What kind of book? Which book? It is the geography book. Okay. Now see the example just below that. Sam is reading a book on geography. Now we see the book as the noun, and on geography describes the book but the words here are the group of words that we have taken. And so when we have the group of words that describe the noun, we term it as the adjective phrase. Okay. Now, few students do get confused between noun phrase and the adjective phrase. Yeah. The very, very simple technique to find out whether the given words is an adjective phrase or the noun phrase. And how you do that? Always remember, children, that adjective phrase begins with a preposition. That's easy to remember, right? Adjective phrase begins with a preposition. If you see the first example, it says, Sam is reading a book on geography. So on is the preposition used there, and your adjective phrase begins with the preposition on. Book on geography. So this becomes very, very easy if you learn it by heart and you remember it always, that the moment you wish to identify an adjective phrase from the given sentence, what you need to look for? You need to look for a preposition in the sentence, in the group of words that you have to identify from. Okay, the moment you see the word with an adjective just after the noun, that is important, children. Why I say that is important? Because adverb phrase also begins with a preposition. Okay, but again, we have so simple techniques to understand grammar if it is understood that adjective phrase begins with a preposition, but it qualifies the noun just immediately before or after it. That's simple. Qualifies the noun just before and after it. So you have to see the noun before that group of word that you have termed as adjective phrase. So you should have a preposition. It should just be before or after the noun. It would be your adjective phrase. It would be your adjective phrase. See the next one. I have a coat made of thick, white and soft fur. I have a coat. Now, coat is the noun here. So we need to ask the question to the verb, which, what kind of. Okay. So have is the verb here. We ask the question to the verb have. Which coat? The coat made of thick, white and soft fur. What kind of coat? A coat made of thick, white and soft fur. You are getting the answer to the question, which and what kind of, isn't it? So if you get the question, if you get the answer to the question, which or what kind of, and the phrase begins just after the noun that it is qualifying or modifying or describing, and it begins with the preposition, it is your adjective phrase. Made of. You know what made of is? It's a prepositional phrase. Yes, made of. So what did we learn here? We learned that adjective phrase does the work of an adjective just as the adjective describes, modifies or qualifies the noun. Secondly, it answers the question what kind of or which, right? And thirdly, that it always begins with a preposition. So if you keep in mind these three things, find out or observe these three things in the given group of words, you are sure that you can identify those group of words as your adjective phrase. Okay, remember, adjective phrase begins with a preposition. Sometimes adjective phrase can begin with a present participle. You know what present participle is? Yes, verb 1 plus ing form, right? So here we see animals eating grass and plants are called herbivores. Animals, we are talking about the subject as animals, which is the noun here. Animals eating grass and plants. What is eating grass and plants doing? It is describing the animals. Which animals? Animals eating grass and plants. What kind of animals? Animals eating grass and plants. So either of the question can be used to ask or find the answer to that. So animals eating grass and plants, which is the present participle form used here, it becomes your adjective phrase, right? So we ask the question, which do the verb are. Which animals are called herbivores? Animals eating grass and plants are called herbivores. So it becomes easy to identify the adjective verb phrase. Remember, starts with a preposition, at times present participle too, as you see in this example, right? Answers the question, which and what kind of, and it would be just before or after the noun that it is qualifying. Noun. Why I focus on noun, children? Because adverbs would be just before or after the verb. That is the trick or to identify. Okay, adjective just before or after the noun would be your adjective phrase. Just remember that it is as simple as that. Focus on these 4 points. Keep it in your mind. With a preposition or present participle, ask the question what kind of or which, and see that it is placed just before or after the noun that it qualifies, that it describes, that it modifies. Okay. Now we move on to the very important phrase in a sentence, and that is the adverb phrase. An adverb phrase is a group of words that does the work of an adverb in a sentence. What does the adverb do? It modifies the verb in a sentence. So, adverb phrase also does the same. It is a group of words that does the work of an adverb in a sentence. It is a group of words that modifies a verb in a sentence. Modifies a verb. Okay. So, we'll focus on the verb here. Ask the associated question to the verb in a sentence. What do I mean by associated questions? Just as we had for the noun phrase, one associated question. Similarly for adjective too. Here too, we have associated questions for the kinds of adverb. Okay. Now adverb have few kinds. There are approximately 10 important adverb kinds. So each one has its own associated question. Okay, so we have the kinds of adverbs like manner, place, time, condition, consequence, reason. Now these are few important, though there are 10 as I said. We understand it with the help of the acronym that we have used here, MPTCCR. There are few more which you will learn later when we do the topic clauses. Okay, so here if we are talking about manner, it has an associated question in the form of how. How was the action done? Okay. Now, again, I tell you, when we do adverbs, you should be very clear with the idea that we are focusing on how the verb or the action was done. Okay. In adjectives, we were focusing on the noun, but here in adverb, our focus will be on the verb. Okay. Where the action took place, when the action took place, how the action took place, what was the result of the action that took place. Okay. Now, these are some things that you should be very, very clear when you start doing so. Okay. Now, for example, Raj won the first prize in school's annual athletic event. Now, I told you in the beginning itself, we are dealing with adverb. Where should your focus be? On the verb here. Okay. So, what is the group of words doing to the verb there? Okay. Raj won the first prize. Now, won is the verb. So, just focus on the word won. Won what? We are not talking about that. Won where? Won in school's annual athletic event. So, this particular adverb would be your adverb of place because it is telling you about the prize being won in school's athletic event. Where did he win the first prize? It is telling you of the place. So, where? In school's annual athletic event. Similarly, the prize distribution ceremony will be held in the evening. Will be held. Held when? Held verb. Held when? In the evening. The chief guest congratulated Raj by shaking his hands. Congratulated how? By shaking his hand. So see here, in all these three examples, what did we do? We focused on the verb and asked the associated question. One, where? In school's annual athletic event. Held when? In the evening. Congratulated how? By shaking his hands. Okay. It is that simple. Don't get confused with adjective and adverb, because the next line states that adverb phrases of place, time and manner mostly begins with a preposition. Place, time and manner begins with a preposition. We have learned in adjective phrase too that it begins with a preposition. But what did I tell you? I told you to focus on the verb when you are dealing with the adverb and focus on the noun when dealing with the adjective. That means the function of the group of words that we are dealing with, is it describing or telling you more about the verb? If it is telling you more about the verb, it is an adverb. If it is telling you more about the noun, it is the adjective. So this particular thing you just keep in your mind, bring to your mind the moment you know that you are going to do an exercise on identifying the adjective phrase with the adverb phrase. What you need to do? Adjective phrase, focus on the noun. The group of words tell you more about the noun or describe the noun. Adjective phrase. The group of words describing the verb in the sentence, modifying the verb in the sentence, telling you more about the verb in the sentence, how the action was done or when the action was done, where the action was done. It will be your adverb. Okay, and you can understand this with the help of the prepositions used there. In school athletic event, in the evening, by shaking the hand. So you can see here, it is starting with the preposition, but it is qualifying, modifying, describing the verb that it is modifying. The verb that has been used in the sentence and the description of that verb in the sentence with the group of words make it an adverb phrase. Now that we have learnt about the kinds or types of phrases, let us focus on one more important aspect. In the beginning, when we were discussing about the phrases, I mentioned that a phrase can be found at the beginning of the sentence, in the middle of the sentence, or at the end of the sentence, right? So when we do so, in each situation, there is a different kind of punctuation required, and you know how punctuation is so important. If you don't punctuate the sentence properly, you are bound to lose marks. Okay, so let's learn about the punctuation. In the first situation, if acting as introductory material means if we are beginning the sentence with a phrase, then how would you punctuate that sentence? It would take the structure as phrase, comma, the remaining part of the sentence. Phrase, that means the group of words that are working as a phrase, phrase, comma, then the remaining sentence. For example, during the storm, the night sky was very dark. Now you see here, during the storm is followed by a comma. That means during the storm is a preposition, and this sentence is beginning with the phrase. This sentence is beginning with a phrase. And why do I call it a phrase? Because it doesn't have a verb or subject-verb combination in it. So that is a very clear identification. During the storm, comma, the night sky was very dark. The night sky was very dark has a complete sentence structure with subject, verb and object. So that remains a separate part of the sentence, and during the storm is adding more information to that sentence. So we have termed that as a phrase. During the storm, followed by a comma and the remaining part of the sentence. So that is your first situation, that if you are using the phrase at the beginning of the sentence, you would always separate it with a comma. Right? Now we will move on to the second situation. If acting as an appositional phrase in the middle of the sentence. Now, appositional or apposition is something where we are using the words, different words, to talk about something similar. Okay? We'll do that more in our next topic, that is clauses, where you have to understand the appositional clause too. We'll do that at that time. Usually it's the noun. Usually it's the noun phrase. Appositional phrases or that you find are usually in the noun phrase. Okay. So when we are having the appositional phrase, usually it is in the middle of the sentence, followed just after the noun that it is being used for. It will come in the middle, and therefore that particular phrase will be separated with commas on either side. That means you'll have the subject, then comma, then the phrase, comma, and the remaining part of the sentence. For example, Vinu, my best friend. Now, my best friend is the appositional phrase because it is telling you more, it is talking about the same person, Vinu, my best friend, and then the rest of the sentence, that is the subject and the object, is a great artist, or is the complement. Vinu, my best friend. My best friend is separated from with the help of the comma on either side. Okay, so when we are using the phrase in the middle of the sentence, it should always have the commas on either side. That means a subject should be separated with a comma, followed by the phrase, again comma, and the rest of the sentence. Okay, you can again look at the example given there to understand it better. Okay, let's move to the third situation, that is if acting as an additional description within a sentence. That means when it comes at the end of the sentence, no additional punctuations needed. Now this is an easy thing. You don't have to punctuate. You don't have to use any commas there if you are using it at the end of the sentence. For example, the night sky was very dark during the storm. Now you see here, this is the same example that I have taken in the first one, where we introduced the sentence with the use of the phrase during the storm, and we put a comma there to separate the phrase from the rest of the sentence. Now here in this particular situation, what do? We use that phrase at the end of the sentence. So when we are using it at the end of the sentence as an additional information, we do not have to put a comma there. The night sky was very dark during the storm. You get that? So this is the requirement of punctuations when we are dealing with phrases and the various situations the phrase is used. How to identify a phrase from a given sentence, and also different types of phrases used in a sentence according to the function that it performs. Let us do an exercise. Okay. Now here you need to identify the type of phrases in the given sentence. We have done the three important phrases: the noun phrase, the adjective phrase, and the adverb phrase. So let's identify the type of phrase that is used here in the given sentences. Raj jumped into the pond. Raj is the subject. Jumped is the verb. Into the pond is telling you more about the verb here. Yes? Is it telling you about Raj? It's telling you about the action jumped. And we ask the question, Remember, children, whenever you get the sentences or you get a practice exercise like this, always remember to keep in mind the steps that you need to follow or the points that you have to keep in mind, not the entire theory of what you have learned just now, only the few hints that we would require. And what are those steps? The steps are, first you need to find out the subject and the verb over there or the noun that is being used there. Then you need to look for the phrase. How to identify the phrase? The group of words that does not have a verb in that. Okay. Then you need to identify the function that it is performing. And how would you do that? By asking the associated question. Okay. Now here you have the subject Raj. Okay. It is telling you of the action done by that subject, that is jumped. Now we need to focus on the verb jumped. There's no noun to over there. So jumped. Jumped where? Jumped into the pond. It is telling you about the place. So this is your adverb phrase. Similarly, if you see the second one, if you are not careful, you will be living in a van down by the river. Now, you see here, if you are not careful, if you are not careful, this group of word has a subject and the verb. You is the subject, are is the verb. So we cannot term it as the phrase. And what are we looking for? First, we are looking for the verb in this. Sorry, the phrase in this. Right? Because what we need to do, we have to identify the type of phrase. So for that, you need to first find out the group of words that are acting as a phrase there. So the first part is not a phrase. So we will leave that aside. You will be living. You will be living. You is the subject. Living is the verb. So again, this particular part or the group of words will not be the phrase. So we will leave that too. In a van. In a van down by the river. Now here we see that there is a combination of two phrases. In a van, it doesn't have the subject and verb combination. Down by the river, it doesn't have a subject verb combination. So these are two separate phrases that we have identified. Now we have to focus on the function. What is it doing? Okay. Living in a van. Now, it is, the first one is qualifying or telling you more about the verb living. Okay. Living in a van. Remember, in preposition begins with a preposition. Now, the moment you see a preposition, it can either be an adjective phrase or an adverb phrase. So, what is the function that it is performing? In a van is telling you about the verb. Where will you be living? In a van. If you're not careful, that means if you are not serious enough with your life, you will end up living in a van. This is just a saying. It's one of the famous dialogue from a movie, right? If you're not careful, you'll be living in a van down by the river. That means you will lead a life of a pauper. Okay, so it says you will be living. Where will you be living? In a van. So this in a van is functioning as the adverb of the verb living, telling you more or modifying the verb living. So in a van will be your adverb. Now the next one, down by the river. Now down by the river, children, can be taken in two ways. Either it can be an adverb of place again, living where? In a van, where? Down by the river. Or it can also be termed as an adjective phrase. Why as an adjective phrase? If we take this particular phrase as the modifier of the noun van. Get that? Slightly confusing? Understand that. In a van is just qualifying the verb next to it. That is living. Living where? In a van. Now, down by the river can be taken as an adjective phrase because it can be taken as a modifier or it can be taken as description of the van. Which van? That is the associated question. Remember, which van? down by the river. Okay, so you'll be living in which van? You'll be living in a van which is down by the river. So here we can term it in both ways. Either you take it as an adverb depending on the way that you have taken it, inferred the meaning to that. So you can say either it's an adverb phrase or it can be your adjective phrase. Okay, we will meet at the mall at 5 o'clock. We will meet. It has got a subject verb. It cannot be your phrase. At the mall. At preposition, so it begins. At the mall at 5 o'clock. Right? Meet. That is a verb. So it cannot be an adjective. Though starting with a preposition, it cannot be an adjective. It will be an adverb because it is modifying or telling you more about the verb meet. Where we will meet. Where? At the mall. When? At 5 o'clock. So you have adverb of place and adverb of time. Right? So we have here the adverb phrase of place and time used together in one single sentence. Although I'm hungry, I would go to the other restroom. Although I'm hungry is not a phrase. I would go is subject and verb. So we'll leave that. That is also not a phrase. To the other restaurant, beginning with a preposition. To the other restaurant. Go. Just followed by, or it is just following the verb go. So go where? To the other restaurant. So this is how you analyze a sentence. You break it into pieces to get an idea or to get the answers to the questions that you have in your mind. And if it answers that, you can be sure that you are identifying the correct one. Okay. The girl with the books in her hands is blind. This is the same sentence that I had used in the beginning when I was explaining you about the clause, right? So the girl is blind is one part. With the books in her hand. Now see here, this is a very clear example of a positional phrase where the phrase is being used in the middle of the sentence, right? So the girl with the book in her hand, what is it doing? It is immediately following the noun girl. There's no verb there. With, preposition, right? So what have we identified? First and foremost, we have identified the phrase with the books in her hand. Now we start our exercise. With the books in her hand is phrase. What kind of phrase? We need to find out. It is beginning with the preposition. Can be an adjective and adverb. But again, the third step, how to find out whether it's an adjective or adverb. If it's adjective, it is following the noun. If it is an adverb, it would be following a verb. Okay, so here, with the books in her hand is just after the noun girl. That means it is telling you more about the girl. It is describing the girl. It is modifying the noun girl. So it is an adjective phrase. The girl with the books in her hand is blind. Answers to the questions which we have just practiced. We discussed the same. You can just go through it. Just try to analyze it. Try to explain it to yourself that why is it adverb phrase or why is it the adjective phrase? What are the questions that it is answering? What are the steps that it is fulfilling? If you get that practice once or twice, then immediately next time that you are doing a phrase, you will clearly identify whether it's a noun phrase, an adjective phrase or an adverb phrase. Okay. So students, I hope this session was useful for you to understand the phrases and different kinds of phrases. It also helped you to understand the techniques with which you can identify the phrases in a given sentence. I would again advise you to pick up few sentences and try to follow the rules that you have just learned to understand the topic better. So until next time, happy learning.